This is the Football Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Podcast, presented by two of your performance-enhancing dads. And we brought on Hum and Danny Miller as our naked guests this year. What's happening, fellas?
How does Matt get a nickname, but I don't?
I don't know. You're the big D down there.
Miller time.
Miller
I like
time.
it. All right,
Big
we're good
D.
now. We're good. We can
right.
Now we can start the podcast.
All right, let's do it again.
Roll it back.
From the top. From the top.
I feel like I have to roll it back a whole bunch, Andy. They just don't know it. Like every time I get on here, Andy and Boyer are like, Tyler, do it again. You suck.
Yeah, but we keep all of that in the final edit.
Oh, so I should. All right, let's start asking questions. First off, I appreciate you guys going naked, so I didn't do it. Boyer was trying, you guys were trying, I was trying. So,
We weren't trying, to be clear.
Oh,
no, I will say Danny's been working out a lot the last couple of years, so I do think he saw this as an opportunity to kind of
show off.
flex, unintentionally flex, you know?
There you go.
So he's really excited about this opportunity.
Hey, I've never seen
good.
Jeremy more
I see
motivated than last year when he had to be naked. He was like, look at all this lifting I've been doing.
Haven't we all seen those pictures at least a dozen times at this point? Like
Yeah,
post the season started?
Nightly. I kiss it goodnight every night.
Oof. Well, and he's
Might as
totally
well-
let himself go since then also. I mean, it's just disgusting. Yeah.
he was talking to me about his man boobs he was putting on the other day. I don't know if that's lifting boobs or if he's just been eating like shit lately. I don't know.
Unclear.
But anyway, we're here to talk about you guys and your shitty decisions opposed to Jeremy and his shitty life decisions.
Can we start with the first one? The big one?
Sure.
So last minute switch.
Oh, yeah.
What was the conversation like going into the draft looking at Jonathan Taylor versus Josh Allen?
Matt, you're welcome to start on that one.
Yeah, I'll because I think I'll if somebody's going to take the heat here for this one, I probably would say that it was a little more orchestrated. I kind of led the charge slightly. I think we went back and forth quite a bit on what quarterback we wanted to take. I think Allen we had, and we weren't sure how much we would have to spend to keep Allen again. If we didn't keep him, we wanted to try to draft him again. So we're like,
Sure.
maybe he might go for 11, 12, maybe a little more than that. But we got a pretty good deal for him. And so we ultimately from the beginning, went back and forth on do we want Allen or do we want Taylor? But we landed at Taylor because we thought there's probably a little bit more upside there and that we'd be able to get Allen for a few more bucks than what we could have kept him for. But then I think as we got closer to the draft, at least in my mind, and what Danny and I talked about was, Jonathan Taylor had, it seemed like last year, maybe 3 or 4 really good weeks, especially towards the end of the season. He really was not phenomenal. I mean, Jeremy traded him to us at some point because he wasn't producing much. So I think any of us that thought Taylor was going to have the year he had, man, more power to him. I didn't see it coming. I thought that the running back market wouldn't be quite as expensive as it clearly was. This league, y'all spend money like it's coming out of every orifice. And so we just said, look, let's just get Allen. Let's get him and go with it, So that's about it.
We were like the Eagles front office that decided to draft Jalen Reagor ahead of a Justin Jefferson. In the moment, you feel really good about that choice. You're huddling. You're like, Rager's going to be the next big thing. And here we are a year later.
Well, and it's not like Josh Allen hurt you guys. It's just looking at the other option was clearly.
I think if the next question is when did we realize we kind of fucked it up, I would probably say the second or third round of the draft when we see all these high price running backs go in and we haven't really spent much and we are like, I think we're fucked. So.
Yeah, so I do have some notes on that. You guys were bidders on Saquon, Metcalf, Henry, Najee, Eckler, and then didn't get any of those guys and settled for Calvin Ridley, Chris Carson, Miles Sanders. How did you feel going into the draft? Did you feel like you had a solid plan, and then did it just get away from you because you were not willing to spend up and took the leftovers, or what was the thought process in the middle of the draft?
I'll take that one. I think one of the things we're working on as a team is, understanding each league we're in and their draft tendencies. Matt made a comment earlier that in this league, like the money goes fast. I was going to say fast and quick, but those are two of the same words. But it goes like early and quick.
Kind of like Fast and Furious, like the movie series.
I was thinking Fast and Quick. That was Matt's nickname back at Bowling Green. So it was just like it was all coming together. Yeah. So
it was all coming together, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the money goes quick, and in that moment, you feel everyone goes in with a plan. Then we got punched in the face, and then it didn't really work, and we didn't spend where we needed to spend. And I'm sure it'll come up, and we talked about it a little just before that we went on. Is then we were in a position where Chris Carson was really the next best running back available. The key is available.
Right.
Okay. And then it's like we overspent on Chris Carson, but I don't remember who was. I remember Matt and I looking at the draft board below him and thinking, we're in a lot of trouble if we don't get Chris Carson. Really, what I should have said is, we're in a lot of trouble even if we get Chris Carson. Like if we are banking on that, that is a bad situation. And lo and behold, that turned out to be true. And so I think a lesson learned is if we want someone, we have to spend. We also did come in with one of the lower amounts this draft. We weren't the lowest, but we were below sub 200 where a lot of people were above. So I think that also played into a factor of maybe if some of you guys spend a lot more, maybe we can kind of hang out for a minute. Again, didn't shake out.
Yeah, the only other aspect of this is, sometimes fantasy and real life kind of go hand in hand. And I'd say that for those of you that know Danny pretty well, like he is really tightly wound with his money. So I think when it comes to spending money in real life, he kind of transcends that into fantasy world and, kind of wants to keep those dollars close to his vest. And so that made it a little bit more challenging for us too.
That is a wild accusation.
$54 for Calvin Ridley and 48 for Chris
Carson.
Oh
my God.
Those were our two big dollars.
We said beforehand, we would not turn on each other. You are literally, how long have we been on this thing? 4 minutes. And you threw me under the bus, and incorrectly, mind you, because you were always the one who's unwilling to spend the money.
I don't know about that, man.
I
do.
Listen, the strip club in Florida last week called and said you both spent the money fine, so I would.
It's how you spend your money, Tyler.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. You just had a different plan for your money. I get it. It's
correct,
fine.
yeah.
Hey, at least you guys, you got Carson for 48. Jeremy got Gus Edwards for 41.
See, it's all perspective.
It's true.
And Carson played more games than Gus Edwards.
See?
So we technically got more value out of our 48.
You got it now.
Yeah.
I knew we'd get there. Mixon only went for 43, but we won't talk about that value.
Yeah, if everyone could draft at the end of the season, I think everyone's opinions would always be a lot different. So, it's hard to think about it that way.
It's fine. You said everybody goes in with a plan, but I've never gone in with a plan. So if you guys,
That shows.
Yeah, that's clear.
You should have a plan. Let's be clear.
So yeah, you're affirming we need to have a plan.
And you guys say everybody goes in spending money like hot and just throwing money and like I go in with $230 every year. I don't know. I have to throw my money and I still can't win.
That's not a good thing, by the way, to go in with 230. Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying that I like to spend my money. I'm not.
That means you lose the year before.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still learning how this works.
Yeah.
You
us
guys
too. Clearly,
we've gone from
hero to zero.
Well, and I don't know if this might come up later, but the other thing I think that's worth noting, I understand there were a lot of injuries, this season, I think across the board. But when you look at the team that we drafted, my understanding is at least 7 of our players, I think, went on IR at some point. One of them just decided to quit playing football in general. And that was the most expensive player that we drafted. So, I think there's a lot we could have done differently. And it all started on draft night that we've kind of, I think, made that point. But, man, we were pretty riddled with injuries throughout the season. And we just couldn't overcome them. I mean, I think we've all had those moments. It's tough to keep going right now, but I'm going to keep trying to talk. We've had those moments, where you overcome a couple injuries, but man, I think it was too tough for us.
It's actually, you look at it, Chris Carson was hurt. Miles Sanders was hurt. Calvin Ridley's mental state was hurt. Logan Thomas got hurt. Robert Woods got hurt. Cortland Sutton the Broncos decided they don't play him anymore. So that's sort of like he was hurt.
Juju
Juju got hurt.
And Landry.
Zach Moss became a clear number 2 to Singletary.
He got benched week 1.
He did.
Yeah, he was a healthy
You guys let him
scratch.
go.
Tevin Coleman, I don't remember what team he's on.
It's never good in week like 2 or 3. I remember saying to Danny, hey, Rondell Moore, that guy could be the real deal. Like, we got him for Tyler. Like, he could be our stud this season. Like, it's not going to be a good year.
Look, now that I look at it, Hunter Henry, had we actually stuck with him, might have been our best player. But we dropped him early.
So real quick before we get away from the draft, do you guys feel like it's tough having 2 of you? Like, do you have a plan going in that like one of you is the go guy on like a quick decision if you got to make a decision at the buzzer? How does that play out?
I don't think it hasn't reared its ugly head in 3 years. In 3 years, it has not been. 3. It has not been an issue. Obviously, I think the first 2 years we were together. This year, circumstances didn't allow for that. But we're both on Zoom together, and we both can make quick decisions. And generally speaking, we've both agreed on, okay, we need to keep bidding, or no, we're going to stop here. And I would say I don't think we've ever completely disagreed on a player of like that's a bad choice. We've never got in with that. So far that has not been a problem. I'd recommend everyone get a teammate actually.
Ty needs one.
Yeah, Ty, you should get someone to play with you.
I definitely need that, but I don't need a partner in fantasy football.
Oh, okay. That was different. Yeah.
Well, So I know we talked about this year being a little different. It was on Zoom. Did that affect you guys at all, being with like feeling like you were delayed on the bidding though?
I mean, I don't think so, honestly. Like, were we slightly delayed? Yeah. You guys remember there were times where we tried to bid and like somebody just bid and all that. But I think the most important part was that the 2 of us could have been to be on the same page. And like Danny said, I think for the most part we have been, and we were. I mean, I think we just drafted the wrong players. But no, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember when we first came into the league, that first year we were at Colin's house. We drafted a pretty good team. I'm pretty sure we did well that year. I don't remember where we ended, but I thought we did well.
Yeah.
I think it was decent.
Yeah.
I don't remember either. I've not been there in a long time, so I don't remember what that looks like. So
yeah.
This year there were supply chain issues this year. That was really what it came down to. And so it should happen.
Yeah, it just does.
What's happening, Boyer? Glad you could make it.
Yeah.
This guy was playing the dad life. He was putting kids to bed and crap. So,
welcome. We're only about 9 minutes into getting shit on, so you're
good.
You're not too late for the party.
I'm early.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of time to belittle us even more.
Awesome.
Well, we interrupted. I feel like you were going to say something or ask something about more of our poor choices.
Is that what we're on here for?
Mostly.
I believe so.
All right, then let's get out of the draft process since we kind of covered all your shitty decisions there, right?
Probably a lot more, but yeah.
Once Ridley was out and Moss became backseated and all your players went injured, you had 7 guys on IR or just shit the bed, whatever. You guys were pretty pissed. We kind of talked about how bad your draft strategy was, or your draft outcome was. We won't call it your strategy.
And bad luck on top of it.
Yeah. And so at that point, I think the only real person you had to sell on was Josh Allen. So, like, were you guys considering just like full-blown selling off or holding and hoping not to go naked, or?
That. Well, you were going to say something, Matt?
So go ahead.
I was actually, I remember talking to Andy about this in a group chat of like when we were deciding to sell. It was actually because the league, and I don't remember the exact like numbers, but I feel like a lot of people were like 4-6 or 5-5 or something right around there, whatever it was. Right. It was like we knew we had a bad team, but we were still like in like 5th or 6th place. But like everyone was in 5th or 6th place. So like that really didn't matter. So it's one of those of like, what do we do? But then, some offers came in for Josh Allen that were too good to refuse, and the Rams defense. You forgot, Tyler, about us selling off the Rams defense. Which
No, I was going to talk about them next. You sold them for $3. I'm here.
Yeah, I think that was the best decision we made all year.
Yeah, sold them for more than you paid for them in the draft. So good work there.
I can't believe defenses are selling that way.
Yeah, that's the key. Find someone desperate and they'll take it about anything. So
yeah, apparently Paul will buy anybody.
I actually think the best decision, Danny, that we made was draft when we picked up Craig Reynolds from the Lions in about week 15 to try to not finish in last, but it really didn't help.
I thought it was Godwin Igwebuike.
Oh yeah, he's also really, really good. He was going to be a stud.
Yeah, don't forget Godwin.
Nice job with the name pronunciation, by the way.
Igwebuike, yeah, I worked on it. Yeah, I knew it would come up here, so I prepared.
I don't think that was coming up here unless you brought it up here.
Oh, Matt and I had separate talking points, and Godwin, yeah, we're actually playing a drinking game on the side. So the more I say it, the better this night gets. Yeah.
I got you.
I do remember the irony of the Craig Reynolds pickup, Matt, is we picked him up, both pretty excited about him, but we actually never started him. I believe had we started him, I think there could have been a chance we were in 11th place. He really liked, if I remember correctly, Craig Reynolds really liked being on Netflix. Wasn't there something about him?
He had something to do with Netflix. I can't remember. Maybe he watched a lot of Netflix. I don't know. I don't remember.
Either way, it wasn't inspiring for someone on your fantasy football team. But he still scored. I mean, he still rushed for like 100 yards both weeks. So
yeah, we never started. Yeah, he had 112 yards rushing in week 15. I mean, there were some really gems there.
Yeah, I think he'll be an early rounder next year. That's just if we do any podcasts on draft forecasting.
Jeremy's probably going to spend 41 on him.
on Reynolds?
Yeah, he's a modern day Gus Edwards, is what I'm thinking.
There you go.
I will make sure we put him up on the board right away next year, and we'll just let him fly up.
Please do. Please do.
Oh, shit.
I forgot about Craig Reynolds. We also, Matt, if you remember, and maybe this was come up, our biggest waiver wire move was picking up the Chiefs running back.
Darrell Williams.
Yeah,
Yep.
we picked up Darrell Williams. That was a conversation between Matt and I of we're selling we are going all in on Darrell Williams. I think we spent like $70-something on him, if I remember.
Yeah, 77.
That's the other two things with this league is that like we're in a couple other auction type leagues and free agent dollars and all that. But I mean, honestly, it feels like in this league, you got one shot, with free agent. If you want to get like that top guy off waivers, you really have probably one at most two chances throughout the year to get that top guy. So you got to pick right, and the amount of money that goes for these free agents is wild. But at the time of Darrell Williams, I think we there's so much parity Danny alluded to earlier in the league throughout the season, especially at probably halfway through the season. It could have been anybody's last place, and I think at that point we started to tank a little more, so we went all in on Williams. I actually think he might have got us one or two wins or played a big role in us getting one or two wins to at least give us a fighting chance.
And those big wins are showing a lot right now.
No, certainly. Yeah, they aren't showing anything. They will pre-season for you guys, but that's about it.
So I was actually in on Darrell Williams as the CEH owner, and when you guys got him, I thought that might have put the nail in the coffin for me being naked. I'm glad it didn't work out that way, I want to say
really glad
in our head-to-head matchup, I want to say he had a good game, and I was just so concerned. I was like, if I didn't get this one guy and he screws me over. So it didn't work out that way, but it was close. He definitely mattered.
Yeah, he helped us out big time. He's probably the MVP of our team, honestly, which is really sad to say, but he is.
There'll always be things we can look back on and say, again, I think that might have been a red flag. We've already talked about a few of them. Chris Carson for $48. I think when we realized we were spending $77 on Darrell Williams, I think there were some warning signs along the way that this was going to be the ultimate outcome. And I'm not 100% sure we saw it in the moment, but, Here it is. I'm actually looking at some other. There was a week. Oh yeah, we were starting Rashad Penny and Miles Sanders. Boy, that was.
It would have looked good at the end of the year.
Yeah, Penny wasn't bad.
Yeah, you had to hit him at the right. Oh, this was my favorite week. Let's hear this lineup. You guys ready? And I won't go through them week by week.
If it doesn't have Godwin, I don't want to hear it.
Tyler, do you think I would spend time, people's valuable time, talking about a week without Godwin? This was our lineup. I'm just going to highlight the big ones. Jalen Guyton, that was our starting wide receiver.
He played football.
Jones, in 2018, that would have been a star, but nope. And our two running backs were Jermichael Hasty and Godwin Igwebuike. That's not good. That's just not good. Yeah. There you go.
They might have both touched the ball that week.
Combined, those two running backs got 1.5 points for us. So it was a big week for them.
They both touched the ball. That's all I said.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Can't ask for much more.
No.
So let's because you guys were talking about your little fight for Williams there for a little while. Let's talk about your fight for the end of the year. Going into the last two games, you guys had the lead over Boyer. He gets 2 wins. His opponents both averaged 73 points. You guys got 2 losses. Do you guys know how many points your guys' teams averaged those last couple weeks?
I remember the last week, I think we got sort of ton on. Like, it wasn't even like within consideration of us winning anymore.
So you guys, your opponents had a 103-point average to Boyer's 73-point average.
In those last 2 games that really mattered. Yeah,
and Fryer wasn't able to beat Boyer in week 15, which really helped Boyer out. So
our friendship with Fryer is over because of that, unfortunately.
On the outs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, everybody's friendship with Fryer should have been on the outs well before week 15 of this year, but whatever.
Yeah, right.
What I'm hearing, Tyler, is I think we can call the results of this year in question. Maybe put like an asterisk on the league. There's clearly some people in cahoots to get Boyer, to win. You know what, Matt? I think it's settled. We weren't in last place. This is we're scrapping this year, guys.
Is that why we're doing this podcast? All right, perfect. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys were really just all here to be punked, and you guys
that was
figured
good.
us out.
Glad we're here for it.
Well, on that, I guess I'll see you guys later, right? I mean, we don't even have to finish.
Boyer, by the way, it's almost we're going in a circle of people taking their shirts off. So I think just by the way, just kind of give you a heads up.
It's weird. There's not a circle on here on my screen. Me and Andy are on top, and then you and Matt.
I bet you two are, you dirty dogs.
Me and Matt you and Matt are right underneath me and Andy. So I think it's your turn next, and we're gonna keep the circle rolling.
I don't remember exactly how everyone's situated.
I don't know. I'm just winging it here.
Yeah, got it. Perfect.
So you guys talked a little bit about how that first season you guys did well or something. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen that good place in a while. The second year you guys were 11-3. How does this feel for your guys' like legacy going first and then sliding into fourth and now going 12th? Like where are you guys at here? Like you guys were rated second, I believe, on the manager rating scale last year. What do you guys feel about that?
Well, I think there's a real famous quote philosopher who once said, what do you say? You gotta look backwards sometimes to go forwards. I think Matthew McConaughey actually in a Lincoln commercial, right? So I think that's kind of what happened for us. We're take a step back, kind of humbling in a sense, and come back stronger than ever.
So where you were in second, where would you put yourself in the manager ranking after this year? Just out of curiosity.
I'll let Dan answer first.
Well, first, you never want to be first, second. The target's always on you.
If you're not first, you're last. I
And,
heard
well,
that from a philosopher too.
Yeah, we certainly were. We certainly were. I think we justifiably, I would like to think that you all, as our Fantasy experts, can also appreciate, like, this was clearly a bad year. It was a bad draft, bad luck, COVID. A lot of things kind of went wrong in there. And so I hope, I would expect it's going to be taken into consideration in the preseason rankings, but I hope there's also some recognition of that was just a bad year. Everyone has, people sometimes have bad years, and I would say certainly the pattern is going the wrong direction, but we'll right the ship this year and we'll be back in full force.
Big D, Miller time, whatever. I appreciate that because I'm on the same page as you. Sometimes we have bad years. We gotta let those go. You gotta evaluate me on my best years, not my bad years. Like,
Right.
Tyler, the difference is though we've had good years.
My name's on that trophy as many times as you are.
Okay.
A lot more attempts, I think, on your side.
Ask Boyer how many times his name's on that trophy.
I have stumbled into playoffs 5 times. I'm still happy about that.
Yeah, see?
I'm not here. Hell, Bobby, you can get second, third. You can even get fourth.
Hey, there you go. That's where you end up every year. All right, fair enough. We won't, knock your legacy too bad yet. See how you come back next year. We'll also judge you based on your pictures a little bit, but whatever. And I just got a quick question. Thoughts on pictures? How you planning on doing that from Indiana and Denver? I'm really actually kind of curious.
I can't deliver trade secrets right now, Tyler. I think there's some things you'll just need to look forward to between now and then.
You took him in Florida last week, didn't you? You were out on the beach. You were like, I got you.
It wasn't a nude beach, man.
That's why you guys got
Any
burned
beach
out.
is a nude beach if you try hard enough.
Yeah, and that's why we had to leave early. You'll have to wait and see, Tyler. That's all I'll say.
All right, fair enough. Do you have any thoughts on poses, like with the hockey sticks in front of each other, looking at each other all nice? Because we tried to get the triplets to do that. If they got first and last, they agreed to it. But they've yet to get first and last. So now we got 2 people. I mean, it just seems to have to happen, but I don't know. Whatever. Like I said, I'll just be surprised. It's fine. You do you.
Yeah.
I've also heard that about you.
We got 6 months, more than 6 months to figure it out. So we'll keep you on your toes for a few more months.
Keep working out, Big D.
Yeah, I'm not planning on eating between now and then, so it should be fine. Yeah, we're good. Don't you worry.
You're on the Boyer plan. Got it.
Yeah, works like a charm. Yeah.
Boyer, you want to jump in here? You want to talk at all this podcast? Or?
I've talked a little bit. I'm entertained, and that's really what I'm here for. It's just entertainment, just kind of a live showing rather than being involved in any way. I see that you guys have talked a little bit about the your drafts and things like that. So you can let me know if this came up. But I did notice in your first 2 drafts in the first 2 seasons in the league, you guys had both Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey, and saw a stunning lack of Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill in this year's draft. Was that intentional in those first 2 years? And was that something that you were keeping in mind for this year, or how did that play out?
I'm happy to talk if you don't have an answer, but.
Go ahead, Danny.
I remember year 2 when we made those 2 picks again, people made fun of us. You're like, oh, you're just drafting the same
Roll it
team.
back.
But yeah, and we brought the whole gang back together. And so this year, I think we were just sensitive to people's feelings around the room. And so we didn't want to just bring the whole team. We wanted to show we could do it with a different squad. Lo and behold, we couldn't. The irony of the situation is, even if we had Christian McCaffrey, I mean, I don't think he played more than 3 games this year. And Tyreek at times struggled. So I'm not sure that would have been the ticket this year,
I think there's sometimes we overthink, maybe even a little bit. Probably we all do. Where it's
Danny's never overthought before.
Yeah, Tyreek's had all these good years. Like at some point, there's going to be a decline, or maybe same thing with McCaffrey. So how much are we willing to spend for either? And one thing we were talking about earlier, Boyer, is that the amount of money that was going off the board in the first and second round, it was just so much that we couldn't justify spending quite as that much. And I think in some ways we probably overthought that, these guys they've been good fantasy players for a number of years. At some point they're going to decline, and at least Tyreek really didn't.
I mean, Christian McCaffrey went for 80. That would have been that would have blown our budget and not been a good. We would have been in an even worse situation, I think, had we spent 80 on him.
Well, and so I know, you're saying that we were spending money high on running backs and stuff this year, but you guys spent 75 on McCaffrey 2 straight years, and Kamara went for 72. McCaffrey went for 80, so maybe that was high.
Yeah, but I think if I remember correctly, when we started the draft, there were maybe 2 or 3 guys that we were willing to spend top dollar on. And I think top dollar probably could have got right around that 75 range. I mean, maybe you could have convinced us to maybe get to 76 or 77 for one of those 2 or 3 guys. But I think anybody else outside of those 2 or 3, and I'm not sure if we had McCaffrey in that top 2 or 3 this year, we just weren't we weren't even close to entertaining that kind of dollar value.
That's fair. I was just curious because now that Boyer brought up the last draft, so I went back and looked at those and saw how much you spent on.
Maybe we need to go back to plan A. Clearly, we do. There's always the strategy of, do you go for a more balanced lineup or just spend big? And
ask Andy. He'll tell you just spend big and just put every dollar you can in your starting lineup.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, they already talked about their budget was a little bit different. They had 206 in their first year, 217 in the second year, and then they were 197, which is, I mean, that's $20 less than the year before. So that
Right.
you got to take that into account.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so let's look into this year's draft a little bit. Have you guys looked into keepers, values? I know it's early, but you guys also have 212 going into this year's draft. So you guys have any thoughts on how you guys feel at this point with the draft dollars you have, keeper situation? Have you guys looked into it?
The good news is you can't really keep most of our team, so it actually makes a lot of decisions pretty easy.
Trade for keepers.
We have 2. Matt and I have talked about. One could certainly be on the block if anyone's interested. Anyone hearing this is interested. One could certainly be on the block. I think if my understanding is correctly, you have to keep at least 1 player, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Plus or minus 1 keeper.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that that's technically the rule. You don't have to keep anybody, but you can't sell off more than 1 keeper spot.
Got it. But we have identified someone we would like to keep. Would you all want to guess who it is?
Sutton.
Oh, that's an interesting guess. Oh, do you think what's between the torn ACL and them committed to having 2 running backs and or not using him? Which of those makes that more appealing, Andy?
He was the best player on your team for most of the year.
Yeah. Coincidentally, his best week he was on our bench, but that's neither here nor there.
It feels like a
Actually,
management issue.
It's going to be Craig Reynolds, guys. That's who we're keeping.
Okay. Godwin Ikabuke. How many times do we have to say that on this podcast? Okay, it's Godwin.
It's got to be Butker though.
We
I
can't
would say-
divulge everything, guys. I mean, it's part of the allure here.
No, that's fine.
If I were a betting man, I would go with one of your 2 options. I would feel comfortable saying that. Yeah. I think one of the 2 of you has hit it on the head. The nice thing about Cortland Sutton is it is a hometown hero here, but I'm just not sure. A new
Hometown
coach, so
hero?
maybe he'll be what?
Hero, huh?
Hometown zero, he said, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, just checking. Zoom, it's rough.
Yeah, it gets you. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't have that big headset like Andy. I don't hear as well.
it is nice. Matt and I didn't pack for that either. Next year's podcast. Next year when we're doing the championship podcast, we'll be better prepared.
I'm surprised we got a championship podcast this year.
Same.
Dude doesn't even listen. He fumbled his way onto a podcast. I don't know.
I did see that one. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you watched at least one.
I actually watched many of them, I'll have you know. I usually comment on it. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I think that we're pretty much 11 for 12 in terms of teams that watch the podcast
Yeah.
most weeks.
Do you think maybe you taking your clothes off will help or hinder that
Only
audience?
gonna help.
Oh, we're attracting
you want me to
outside
keep
viewers
going?
with this one.
We're
Ready to
about to
keep
find
going?
out at the very least. The marketing guys are going to be pouring over the numbers for a while to see.
Yeah,
What kind of
lawyers are going to
difference
be
it
busy too.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on for sure. Yeah.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to add from your Naked Place season? Are we Andy, Boy, you guys got anything else you want to drill them on?
I got nothing else. I think we gave them a good solid ribbon. I think they were good sports about it. So thank you for that, fellas.
I do want to say I appreciate you guys.
I don't like, but the way you mean that isn't really appreciated. It's not like, oh, I've enjoyed getting to know you over the 3 years. I appreciate you.
But I appreciate you being in the league this year.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So that was quite a backhanded compliment you have. But I, will speak for both of us. We're certainly hoping for better days ahead, a new draft strategy. We're hoping, to have this year's Cooper Kupp or Jonathan Taylor on our team. I think it's only fair. I think that's what we request from the league.
I'm going to warn you. You might have next year's Cooper Cup. You may still be towards the bottom. I have some experience with that.
That's inspiring. Thank you for ending our time together like that, Boyer. Thank you. For all the kids watching at home, you can have the best player and still be rock bottom.
Now, rock bottom, there's one team worse than mine.
You've made that clear.
Danny
Well,
likes
thank
being
you.
on bottom, so it's all right.
Thank you all for having us on. It's certainly a pleasure.
It was fun, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys jumping on. We'll catch you guys soon. For everybody else in the league, I hate you. I plan on beating you in the draft next year and still losing. So we'll see you guys later.
It's motivating. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.